For casual players, Tarkov's highs are amazing, but the lows are pretty awful. This is me trying to hunt down USB sticks for this video while dealing with the current boss of it. While I didn't find any of the actual USB sticks that I wanted to highlight in the video, I did find intel documents, which goes to highlight my point that you can find those high-ticket tech loot items that you need early wipe. That intel document could have easily been a USB. Now, the boss event kind of makes this difficult to get the video that I wanted, because Gluhar and his goons hang out in this area, which is one of the prime locations to start hunting through filing cabinets. There are other parts of Reserve that have even more filing cabinets in a more densely packed area, and we'll hit those here in a second. Now, with the remainder of this clip, we're going to see how Tarkov both giveth, and giving me that great intel document, and Tarkov taketh. This one was largely because of desync. I do like to try to hit the garage here if I'm a PMC over going into Black Knight first. You know, there's always the off chance that I get what I need in here as far as tool loot. Gluhar and his guards hanging out over there, and you can even see from this clip, the dreaded desync gets it before I even cross. Now I want to take a quick second and define casual player, because I would qualify as a casual player by this definition, and I think there are a lot of players that do. I have a full-time job, I work, I make these videos as a hobby, but I still like playing Tarkov. I only get about 45 minutes a day during the week, a few hours on the weekend at most. So with that, when you play and you hit that low point, you're doing a quest and you just keep dying and dying and dying, it feels really bad. When you find those good loot spots though, it feels really good. Like I said, it amps up your highs and it brings down your lows to a really, really bad area. So my goal is to have this video series, which this is be the first video of, that's going to help casual players through the early and into the midway, as far as where to get those quest items early. This one's largely about the USB sticks. On Reserve, you can also get Saluas a little bit easier than some of the other maps, but I really wanted to focus on the USB sticks and gas analyzers. Those are the big ones that everyone complains about early wipe. My first big recommendation for any casual player that wants to get further and further in Tarkov is run your scav. I know this is said a lot, but it's extremely important. We, as casual players, do not have the free time. We can't just continually run and run and run. So using our scav should be the most efficient. A lot of players leave loot on the map. In this run itself, I leave loot on the map. Try real hard not to do that. These filing cabinets at the top of the stairs almost always never hit. As you saw there, I got a gas analyzer. Imagine this is your first scav run of a new wipe. You now are a third of the way completed with Therapist Quest for gas analyzers in one of the most annoying quest lines that everyone always complains about. I try to always hit this weapon attachment room as well. Once again, it's early wipe. You need all the help you can get, and attachments will either sell really well, or you will be able to use them yourself and kind of help give you a slight edge over maybe another casual player who doesn't have that stuff, or it could even the playing field against the hyper juiced up chads that are already level 20 on the third day of a wipe. While in the weapon attachment room, I do like to check the side table here to see if there's any unique ammo. Early wipe PS ammo for 7.62 is great. I try to hit this room for the duffel bag. Duffel bag has a pretty large loot pool. I found gas analyzers in them before. I've found the USB sticks in them before. Always try to hit a duffel bag if you see it. The roof will have other weapon attachments, usually suppressors and optics. That was a Salvo 12 I just picked up. It's a 40,000 ruble item that you can sell on the flea market. Great value right there. also needed for some quests later on when you need to get suppressed shotgun kills. I try to always hit these filing cabinets. They're usually the ones that are gone through. They're in a secure location, so it's kind of hard to determine if they're going to be hit or not. Sometimes people leave it, sometimes people don't. Now, I was saying earlier that I'm making this as part of a series of videos to help casual players. The other thing that I want to highlight about Reserve over any of the other maps is that Reserve is a much easier map to learn than any of the other maps. If you are coming in fresh to a wipe and it's a brand new game for you, Reserve is the easiest map to learn. It's a giant square. Customs, a lot of people recommend it because it's easy left to right or right to left, but there's 3 main paths in Customs. The boss spawns in the center of 2 of those paths. It can make life really difficult. Another recommendation here, always hit dead scavs. They have one of the largest loot pools in the game. It means that they can have some of the best loot on them, but they can also have some of the worst loot. Always worth it to check. I have found USB sticks on them before, SSDs, tech loot, stuff like that. In this building, I try to hit all of the toolboxes. You saw I got one of the pipe wrenches earlier. That is 80,000 rubles. Just imagine 80,000 rubles in a 2-slot item early game. It's great. This building also has the benefit of having a fair amount of jackets, so keys early, really nice to have. I did my PMC run earlier on Reserve, and I ended up getting the RBKPRL key, which opens up the guardhouse door up at the tower. So now you have access to 2 safes. Like, let's say you found that first scav raid of the wipe. Really good. With the event going on, I did happen to get Gluhar's bodyguard's armor because someone killed them, took their guns, but left the armor. The TV-110 here is a level 4 rig. Super solid. Lots of space. The Korund is level 5, and it's kind of garbage after it's been shot, but it's still better than nothing. So the filing cabinets in this room are usually always a good one to try to hit. With a window facing out to the train yard, a lot of PMCs don't like being in here. It's a single filing cabinet. It's real risky if you're a PMC to get domed in the back of the head, but it's always good to check these as a scav. I believe in this one, yep, it's this one here, I did find another intelligence folder. I found 3 of them over the course of the day. That's 900,000 rubles out of 6-7 raids that I did on Reserve. It feels pretty good. Once again, imagine that being early wipe. For the second floor of this building, you've got this room with 2 jackets and 2 filing cabinets. The jackets are a good way to get keys early if you're doing key runs, and then the filing cabinets are just more chances at those gas analyzers and the USB sticks. A lot of people don't actually realize that you can even get keys from filing cabinets. They're usually more specific to the map that you're on, I found, but I believe that it is just one giant pool. So for example here, I just found the RBST key. It's one of the most valuable keys in the game because you need it for Revisions Part 1, a Peacekeeper quest that's actually pretty early on. And without that key, you can't complete the quest. I remember last wipe that key went up to being like 1.2 million rubles at one point because of how rare of a spawn it was. From here, we go up to the 3rd floor. This first room that's on the right is one of my favorite file cabinet rooms just for the safety aspect. You're on the 3rd floor, so you hear people coming up. You can close the door behind you, and the angle that you're at for the filing cabinets versus the door is pretty good if someone tries to come in and they don't suspect you're in there. Sometimes you have rooms like this, where you just don't get what you need. This next room though, there's always at least a little bit of loot, because not only is there a filing cabinet in here for you to search through, there's also PC blocks where you can get things like power supplies, the caps, processor fans, processors themselves, and I've even found a GPU in the PC blocks in this room. I played poorly and inefficiently this raid though. I did not even check the PC blocks. I'm leaving loot on the map, which as a scav, there's no excuse for doing that unless you just don't have space. Even then, you should be checking every container that you can if it has an okay loot pool. Here's an example of a PMC leaving loot on the map. This M4 here, value's not that great, but the suppressor on it is still worth about 25 to 30,000 rubles depending on time of the wipe. It's also just a good suppressor to have if you want to use M4s or 8Rs later on in your own kit. I opted to take the suppressor and leave the M4 and continue with the AKM, mostly because the AKM still had ammo. There's always tools to grab as well that are kind of loose and laying around. Always a good idea to check for them. Elites sell to therapists for, I believe it's about 18,000 rubles. That meets the criteria of the 10,000 rubles per slot minimum you're looking for in any loot item. So I want to take a quick second to kind of talk about the map of Reserve and why I actually favor it over any other map in this game. Customs, it's the map you learn on. Shoreline, it's big, it's open, with one central point of fighting. Woods, snipers galore. But Reserve feels like there is story here. I think it's a combination of the close proximity of so many buildings with graffiti, trash. It just feels like something bad happened here. So, my little, thematic enjoyment of the map aside, this next building has tons of filing cabinets. It also has a lot of loose loot spawns. There's a sugar spawn right here on the table. That's 50,000 rubles if you're selling it mid to late wipe. If you find a bunch of sugar early wipe, I actually recommend stockpiling them because Jaeger has a barter that requires 10 sugars, but it's a thermal optic. And that's actually how I complete the Punisher quest line every wipe now. I stockpile like 50 to 60 sugars, I buy 5 or 6 thermals, and then I just go to Shoreline and I get my PMC kills that are really annoying to get using a thermal, and it's nowhere near as annoying as it should be. Of all the buildings in Reserve that will have the filing cabinets hit the most, it is this building. You can check them as a scav. There's always a good chance though that a PMC has come through first and cleared it out. Always check between your server racks to make sure that they didn't miss a vertex or any other tech loot like that. I've had those spawn. It's another easy 50 to 100,000 rubles depending on which tech item spawns. The ground floor of this building is going to have the few rooms and filing cabinets that may actually not be hit. There's a few toolboxes in the side rooms. Usually those get hit pretty frequently, but the filing cabinets themselves, people seem to miss the door that's right next to the entrance, and that room has 2 filing cabinets in it. I'm about to hit it right now. So for the first half of this scav run through reserve, we ended up getting a lot of really good loot, but the back half was kind of mediocre. And that's kind of how it goes. The first half usually feels really good, and the second half is bad, or the first half feels bad, and the second half is like pretty decent loot-wise. But to give you an idea, this run was about 600,000 rubles when it was all said and done. I want to thank you guys for watching. Hit like, subscribe, comment down below on what map you want to see me go through next for casual players.